Hey guys, Dr. Birchler here. If anyone wants to hop on and join me, go ahead. But I had a few ideas I thought I'd share. Some of you might like them, some people might not. That's fine, everybody has their opinion. But the first thing I was going to share with you today is this concept of a nocebo, and talk about that just in context of what's going on right now. So most everybody's heard of a placebo, so the idea that you take a kind of a fake inert medicine and then people experience a benefit from that. So commonly drugs or things are tested against a placebo to say, well, if somebody just believes that something's going to make them better, what is the comparison of that to then actually clinically giving them a drug or substance? And the great body of evidence throughout all of these pharmaceutical research is that placebos work on an effective level. Plus the idea that the expectation that somebody's going to get better, the belief that they are going to improve, is correlated with positive outcomes, with improvements in health and even various measures of physiology and chemistry and those kind of things. So that's very, very well established that placebos are effective. There's a positive effect associated with that expectation. Now, the flip side of that would be what we might call the nocebo, and that would be a negative expectation or the belief that something could cause harm or a side effect or some negative response. And as may be expected, if placebos work, then nocebos work too. And if you want, you can go on and Google nocebo or read about that on Wikipedia and things. And so there is that concept of a nocebo in let's say a clinical trial, where somehow let's compare giving somebody a treatment to giving them a treatment and telling them, oh, there's such and such chance you could have a negative side effect. And then the people that you tell that there's some expectation of negativity have a higher incidence of negative outcomes than the people that you don't tell that there's any negative outcome to. All right, so that's kind of the idea of a nocebo. But my point in bringing that up right now is that this whole social context right now of fear and expectation of illness and disease and catching something, that whole environment of like a negative expectation is actually, it's like a nocebo. It's like, well, you're more likely to experience a negative outcome when you're highly sensitized to the possible negatives to things. And some people may say, well, there is that possibility. Well, yeah, there is that possibility, but we know we're going to increase that possibility by focusing, dramatizing, or even maybe verbalizing, or absorbing into our consciousness the negative expectation of that. So I don't think that's smart in our current environment to submit yourself to that type of thinking, that type of negative expectation. And over recent decades, there's been a term coined, psychoneuroimmunology, that the idea that the brain or the psychology, thoughts, ideas, beliefs turn into like a neurological signal, and that then interplays or influences the immune system. And this is something that's very well established, and you can go on and read about this, pull up Wikipedia for some background on it, but I'm just going to read you something here. This is on Wikipedia for psychoneuroimmunology, and it's under the section of psychoneuroimmunological effects. It says there are now sufficient data to conclude that immune modulation by psychosocial stressors and or interventions can lead to actual health changes. Although changes related to infectious disease and wound healing have provided the strongest evidence to date, the clinical importance of immunological dysregulation is highlighted by increased risk across diverse conditions and diseases. For example, stressors can produce profound health consequences. In one study, all-cause mortality increased in the month following a severe stressor, the death of a spouse. So they're saying mortality, meaning death in this case, not trying to control and figure out the cause, but total mortality increased following a significant stressor. And my point in reading that is that, well, do we want, in an environment of infectious disease, and it's saying the evidence is most strong that there's high risk of infectious disease and delayed wound healing when we have stress, and that's really what it's talking about, is the various forms of stress, anxiety, and things that are psychological or social stressors make us predisposed to that. So that's the context of what I'm saying here. In our society, when everybody's fear of illness and fear of viruses and that kind of stuff, well, is it really smart to be constantly consuming the fear and focusing on that and the negative expectations and worrying about sickness and be stressed out and watching the TV all day? Like, is that going to improve your outcome, or are you going to have higher risk and a more negative outcome with that? And my belief in everything that I understand to be true is that you're going to have more likelihood of negative outcomes by that type of mentality. So I'm kind of odd in that even before all this corona stuff and virus stuff, I don't watch news. I don't read news articles. I don't read political stuff. I don't. I call it. I stay in a little chiropractic wonderland all the time. So some people may say, well, that's ignorant, whatever. But okay, ignorance is bliss, and to me, that's better than trying to sort through third-hand information that I have no way of verifying it's true, especially when they're feeding me some type of fear or negativity. So I don't consume that. I don't watch it. I don't read articles on it. And you might differ. You might think you need to be informed or those kind of things. That's fine. But that's one of the reasons that I don't do that. I don't consume that kind of a thing because I don't want to pollute my mind, my consciousness with what is being sold to me, especially when it's primarily a negative idea, negative message, right? And that's going to cause stress, anxiety, lack of control, those kind of things, and none of those are going to be actually improve my health. In fact, I can expect they're going to have a negative outcome on my health, right? So the last thing I wanted to jump on here is I call it ChiroPower, but why chiropractic is really awesome. And so my reference frame, I've been in practice, I guess time's flying, but 13, 14 years now. And I think that studies in a lot of ways are cheap. Reading information, it's cheap, right? People who are in the trenches and what they experience it's useful, it's pragmatic. And I understand that's not everything, but here's my personal story, right? I didn't know what a chiropractor was until I was 15, and I went to a chiropractor, and I went for back pain, as many people do, and it helped my back pain. But I also noticed, even as a teenager at that time, age 15, that I had less trouble with allergies, which was something that allergies I dealt with all the time since I was a kid, and I got sick less, right? I don't know if I even missed any days of school or anything after that, those last few years, and I probably missed a few here and there prior to that. And now here I'm in practice, and I haven't really missed a day in 6 years of practice. And so that's real to me. That's my actual experience. And I'm around people all day, every day, and I'm doing adjustments on people and staying health focused and chiropractic focused, and other people get similar results. They have just improved general health. They seem to get sick less. They seem to do better, perform better, those kind of things. And so in a time where everybody's afraid of going out and all this kind of stuff, and I get that, but do I want to stop doing the very thing that in my own life has made a dramatic improvement for me, that I see every single day in my life? Thousands of people have a similar improvement in their health and well-being. Do I want to stop doing that now? Now, if anything, I want to increase that personally. If anything, I want to increase that. I don't want to decrease those things that actually decrease the stress and anxiety, actually improve my general health and well-being, actually give me a sense of control or action in my health versus like I'm afraid of stuff that I can't control, kind of a psychology that is out there right now. So that's one of the reasons I think chiropractic is awesome, is that it does help people on a general level. It gives you something active to do. The public, there's a study that was done in 2012, and this was from one of the branches under the National Institutes of Health. So the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, but it's under the National Institutes of Health. So a government agency or whatever. But and they do a massive study of complementary healthcare usage in the United States, and in one section of that was on chiropractic. And what the public basically reported was, I add a little snippet of that here, but what the public basically reported, number one thing the public reports is improved overall health and feeling better. It's like 2/3 of people. Sleep better, 42% of people. Reduce stress levels, 40% of people. Easier to cope with their health problems, 38% of people. Given a sense of control over their own health, 1 out of 3 people. Feel better emotionally, over 25% of people. Better job attendance, school attendance, better relationships, 13%. So, I mean, this is what the public reports, and as a practicing chiropractor, we see this. You see this stuff all the time. Like, people have a better quality of life with chiropractic. My own personal history is that's what I personally experienced in my history of chiropractic and continued use of chiropractic. So that's why I do what I do. I'm not gonna close and worry about the virus and not share something that actually helps people right now. People can control their stuff, not go out, that's fine. But for me, I'm here for people, and we want to share this thing called chiropractic with people, and give a counter to that kind of negative message, give people something that is actually positive and can fully be expected to have a positive influence on their outcome. So thanks for watching this. We'll post this later on the page so you can share it.